All right, guys, it's Thursday. It's fishing report. Been hanging out with Captain Ronnie Daniels, the one and only, and Captain Joey Garriga. Stick around for a report on what we did or didn't see. All right, guys, just sitting out here in the driveway, rigging up some rods for the big weekend, the holiday week. Got a lot of trips coming up, and finally some good weather. So, as you saw in the intro, we spent the morning running around with Captain Ronnie Daniels of Fisherman Guide Service and Captain Joey Garriga from Pogie Boat Charters. We shared dock there in Pass Harbor, and none of us had a trip today, so we wanted to kind of just run around and see what we could find. Let you know what we found. We started out of Pass Harbor and the water was terrible. Lots of floating debris, almost straight freshwater, very, very little salinity, if any at all, and it just looked bad. Okay, we continued towards the Louisiana Marsh and there was no change. As far as we ran that direction, it was pretty bad. That doesn't mean there's nothing fishable. I think the same pattern that I've been talking about, it feels like forever now, I know, it still holds true. Deeper water where there's salt still on the bottom. I'm looking at my fish finder looking for a thermocline, which would indicate saltier water beneath the fresh. All right, these fish I keep hearing about, they're going to go east, they push east, oh, all the fish are going to go east. That's not necessarily the case. These fish aren't programmed to understand that this fresh water is going to last forever. So what do? Just like a cold front comes through, they go find the deepest hole they can and they lay in it. And they expect this to last a few days, and it just lasts longer, okay? These fish aren't going to swim to Alabama. They're just not going to do it. So deeper water, fish in the bottom or near the bottom, slow, and find where these fish are holed up. You're going to have to search a lot, though, to find anything. So if I was heading towards Louisiana Marsh, I would definitely stay on the outside edges. Definitely, I just don't feel like there's enough water circulation to go inside the marsh. Unless you know of some good holes in there that typically have some good current, maybe there. So if I'm going to fish that way, I only want to fish on a high or an incoming tide. The salinity drops very fast as soon as that tide turns around. So I'm looking at those things, and I'm staying on the exterior of the marsh. So I'm thinking Door Point, Martin Island, Brush Island, all that stuff on the exterior edges of the marsh, okay? We also ran to Cat Island. The water was better, but it still wasn't good. But it was fishable. And we did fish for a minute, caught a few fish, even caught a small triple tail, but we weren't really fishing on this trip. We were just looking around. So once again, I wouldn't say the water was great, but it was fishable. So I suspect I'll have to go even further east. I'm thinking Ship Island to find a little bit better water quality. I am, however, hearing poor water reports as far over as Back Bay of Biloxi. I've heard complaints. Horn Island even is starting to suffer, and Ship Island, where I'm talking about. Last week Gulfport Harbor wasn't bad, but the water looks totally different this week. It looks pretty bad. So here's the bottom line. You've got two choices. You can continue to do the best you can with what you got, or don't go fishing. As for me, I'm going to go fishing. I'm going to do whatever it takes to find fish. They're still there, and they still have to eat. And we're just going to make the best out of the situation as we can. I'm working hard, but I'm finding a few fish here and there, and everybody's having a good time. All right? If you just like to kick back and like to catch easy fish, it's not for you. All right? So keep that in mind. Snapper season opens this weekend, and it's going to be a madhouse out there. So a couple things. Please give your boat the once over before you go, especially if this is your first offshore trip of the year. Check things you don't think about. That float switch on your bilge pump, is it working? You don't want to be 40 miles offshore, your boat starts taking on a little water, just to realize that your bilge pump hadn't worked because you haven't used the boat, hadn't been offshore. Check your safety gear. It is a holiday weekend. Law enforcement is probably going to be out in large numbers. When you combine opening day of snapper with a holiday weekend, they're going to be out there looking at all of us. So just make sure everything's on the up and up, you're legal, you have all your safety equipment, it's all up to date, and everything works like it should. All right, so please do that. Also, it's going to be crowded. Understand that you're going to have to work together. There's going to be limited areas to fish and a whole lot of people trying to do it. So be courteous of each other, try not to crowd each other, and also understand that if you're on a larger piece of structure, say a sunken barge, you can easily fish multiple boats on a piece of structure like that. Don't think that there's not room, or you got there first, you own that whole barge. There's just not enough stuff out there for fish for everybody to have their own wreck. So if you work together, though, you can do it, and it doesn't really affect anybody else's bite. There's plenty of snapper out there for everybody to catch, so please just use a little patience and understand there are going to be idiots out there and knuckleheads out there, and just try not to be one of those knuckleheads. All right. Last, it's going to be hot. All right. We broke 90 today for the first time this year, and it's supposed to be in the mid to upper 90s this weekend. So hydration, sunscreen, and have a good time. So I hope you enjoy your holiday weekend with family, catch a lot of fish, and we'll look forward to talking to y'all next week about how good we all did, hopefully. So enjoy, guys.